I have so many stories that are police related, non-police related, but after 76 to 2006, you're talking 3 decades, and a lot of different things would come up, and you talk to partners. But one of the things I remember was a group of us, and it was myself, John Helms, Larry Mudgett, and a guy named Ray Kaufman, who worked with a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, one of my best friends, went to school with the University of New Mexico, ended up being in the Marines and also working at the Department of Energy. But we went to a Star Wars class out at Gunsight, and it was to see how far, it was like invitation only. I think it was like 13 individuals invited by Jeff Cooper at the time, Colonel Jeff Cooper, and to do, to see how far you could push the pistol in its limits. Distance, speed, all this other neat stuff. And this was in the 80s, early 80s, and one of the interesting things is we went out there for the Star Wars pistol class. I think they've only done a couple, I'm not sure. And they called it Star Wars, but it was super advanced or whatever. And at the same time, a group of FROGS, SEALs, had come up from Coronado. I can't remember which team, but they came out, and they were taking either a basic or intermediate handgun class. They found out we're there, and so obviously we're all going to intermesh. You're going to talk when you have a bunch of guys on Tier 1, even though it's police versus, FROGS and everything else, you're going to start getting together. Well, we go to a place called the Mining Company in Prescott, Arizona for dinner one night. This is about 3 days, I think 3 days into it or something, doesn't matter. 3 days into this training. It's a 5.5 day class. And we go, and we have the big table, so we have the guys from LAP, us, the three of us from LAP SWAT, Ray Kaufman, you got the teams and everything else. And we haven't even started eating yet. And inside, now we're outside, and it's an old, if I remember correctly, it's called the Mining Company, and it's an old abandoned mine, but outside they have an exterior location, which is where we're seated, probably a good call. And if I remember correctly, they had like an entrance to an actual old mine off to the side. I remember seeing that. Anyway, we start drinking. How rare. And LAPD SWAT's drink at the time was, may still be, if they even do it, called a Prairie Fire, which is 2 shots of tequila with 2 tablespoons of Tabasco sauce. Called a Prairie Fire. Really stupid. And so we bought rounds for everybody. And the commanding officer at the time, with the SEAL team at that time, would say, he'd stand up and he'd go, boat crews, on your feet. So the boat crews would stand up, all the FROGS, they'd stand up and they'd down it. Boom, put it down, and they'd sit down. And we obviously had it with them as well. We stood up in respect to them for what they do and how hard they've had to work to get to where they are. And then they had theirs. Their drink was a cinnamon schnapps, which was like, really? Now, I'm not going to mess with SEAL because, a frog will, just literally make your life a living hell in about 2 seconds. But it's like, okay, fine. So we take that and we go back and forth. So we're trading, we have that, we give them shots and they give us, and it goes back and forth for a while. This probably lasted, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes. I don't think we've even ordered dinner at this point. But you've been on the range all day long. And, you're running hard and everything else. It's hot, blah, blah, blah. And they had these plate glass windows, which were up against, which, basically barricaded us from this long table with all of us, barricaded windows, or these huge plate glass windows. And inside you had the romantic encounters and interludes between lovers. You had families and kids and everything else. And everybody's inside, and they got the candles, and it's low-level light music, probably nice, smooth jazz, who knows, maybe not in Prescott, who knows. Anyway, all these people are inside having a nice romantical dinner. One of the FROGS gets up, and you can tell this is not going to be good, and he turns around, and he goes over to the window, puts both hands on this window, and I've seen projectile vomiting from children, but not from an adult, and that's what happened here. And it was nasty. All over the window. Well, it cleared out everybody in the restaurant. We got kicked out, and we were told never to come back. I don't think we ever got dinner, if I remember correctly. It was basically, we were persona non grata. So to you individuals at the mining company, I apologize. I will never return there again. So there.